Welcome back. Now, security forces in the Gambia have shut down 2 private radio stations amid a crisis over President Yahya Jammeh's refusal to step down. The head of the Gambia Press Union, Emil Touare, says the closure of Teranga FM and Hilltop Radio was a slap in the face of democracy. This is the first sign of a crackdown on the media since Jammeh refused to accept defeat in the 1st December poll. He first took power in a coup in 1994. The Gambian leader, Yahya Jammeh, in his New Year message, accused ECOWAS of declaring war. This was after ECOWAS had said it was putting forces on alert in case he refused to step down at the end of a mandate, his mandate this month. Jammeh, who has vowed to stay in power despite losing a December 1 election to rival Adama Barrow, promised to defend Gambia against, quote, outside aggression. His mandate runs out till January 19. Meanwhile, the Ghana Bar Association has raised concerns about the political crisis in that country. The association, in its New Year message, urged ECOWAS to take all necessary measures to stop the constitutional coup d'etat in the Gambia. Right, let's get on Skype now. We do have Seina Marina, who is a Gambian journalist living in Senegal. He's also a social justice activist who is passionate about democracy, press freedom and good governance. He's joining us on Skype. Mr. Marina, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
I know the situation in Gambia is worrying to everyone, including yourself, and you have been pretty active in the call for justice and the call for rule of law and democracy in the Gambia. How does the closure of these 2 FM stations come to you?
Thank you very much for having me live from Dakar. I am not surprised with the closure of these 2 FM stations in the Gambia because President Jammeh, since coming to power 22 years ago, has a very repressive environment for media. He feels that the media is the only civil society or vibrant institution that can challenge his rule. So since he came to power, he has cracked severely on freedom of expression, closures of media houses, killing of journalists, and many journalists, including myself, have to run for our life. We fled the country, and many others' lives are at risk. Teranga FM is one of those private radio stations in the country that used to broadcast news in local languages. So Jammeh thought that that is a way of sending the message. So he muzzled the press to an extent that there is no free flow of information. So the crackdown started well before the election. 2 journalists were arrested and still being held. Teranga has been closed this is the 4th time since it was shut down by the authorities. So it was closed yesterday with Hilltop. So we also
Mr. Marina, hold on a little. I remember the last time I met you in Accra whilst you were on tour at my previous workplace. We had a chat about the situation in Gambia, and you expressed concern about the situation in Gambia. Now, how far do you think Yahya Jammeh can go or will go in order to still remain in power?
Yahya Jammeh is doing everything to remain in power. When he addressed the nation on the New Year Eve, he renewed his attempt calling for a fresh election. And this is something Gambians have rejected in totality. There will be no fresh election because Jammeh has been defeated at the polls by Adama Barrow, the coalition leader. Himself accepted defeat. Later, after 1 week, he rejected those results and said there were irregularities, something that shocked the entire world. So for me, Jammeh knew very well that, 22 years of his government, he has done a lot of things that will not go unpunished. So he is trying by all means to stay in power to avoid being prosecuted. He said the ECOWAS possible military intervention, should he stay in power beyond his mandate, that will expire on 19 January, tantamount to
a declaration of war. Exactly. So that's the point we're all worried about. Mr. Marina, we don't have a lot of time, so just ask you one last question. We know that in his New Year message, he expressed a lot of defiance. He is willing and vowing to defend the country. These kinds of words are aggressive posturing, which indicates a leader who is not willing to step down. Do you see this escalating into a full-blown war? I mean, knowing Jammeh, how he is?
Absolutely, absolutely, because the issue now is Jammeh has only less than 3 weeks to stay. And he knew that he lost the elections, and he knew that, the repercussion for him will be huge. So he's trying all means to stay in power. And this could lead to a full-fledged confrontation between him and the coalition supporters. This is why ECOWAS is trying by all means to avoid it. They say they will pursue all peaceful ways to solve this impasse, but if it fails, then military intervention will likely take place. So this can escalate into a full-scale war.
Right,
and
Ms. Marina
is ready to take on ECOWAS and anybody who wanted to intrude into the sovereignty of the Gambia.
Right, Mr. Marina, we're grateful. Thank you very much, and keep safe in the Senegal where you are. Mr. Seina Marina is a Gambian journalist who is in exile, actually, in the Senegal. He is one of those who have been pushing to get democracy stabilized in that country. Now, this follows concerns that have been raised by civil society groups and rights activists over the closure of 2 private radio stations in the Gambia. This follows the warning by ECOWAS that Yahya Jammeh should step down. And he has, in his New Year message, expressed a lot of defiance. He has been saying he's not willing to step down. ECOWAS is giving him ultimatum, and ECOWAS has already moved a standby force into the Gambia in the event that Yahya Jammeh refuses to step down willingly. Let's go to Skype again and speak with President of the Gambian Debate Association. He's based in Azerbaijan, and Mustafa Kar. How are you, sir? Thank you for joining us on Skype.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I know that a lot of Gambians are worried about what is happening in the Gambia. It has already started with the closure of the 2 private radio stations in that country. Yahya Jammeh's defiance on New Year's Day and his message is sending fear signals to ECOWAS and everyone who is a Gambian living in Gambia and outside Gambia. You are outside, you are in the diaspora. I'm sure you would want to see a Gambia which is stable and people can freely express themselves. Are you worried?
I am not worried because this is the Jammeh that we know, obviously, from the previous interviews that I had on this channel. I said the Jammeh always surprises us, like when in the initial stage when he accepted the results, but other than that, he's not doing anything new. And at this moment, Gambians have made their voice heard in the elections. They have voted. So I mean, people are not really scared because he's not, as I said, he's not doing anything new. These are just things that are typical of Jammeh.
Yeah, Jammeh appears to say to everybody that I'm not going to go away easily. He's telling ECOWAS, back off, because I'm prepared to defend my country. That's confrontational, wouldn't you say? And that the citizens of Gambia should be worried.
Well, I mean, so far, the leaders of the coalition have been very instrumental in telling Gambians that they expect him to step down. Actually, they have been very good, doing very well in calming the situation back home. But as I said, people are not scared. I mean, you go to Facebook, people are still speaking their minds on the situation in the country. So people are not scared. Of course, there's 1 or 2 people who would who would be tempted to be scared. But the majority of Gambians, from what I have seen and from the reaction that I got from them when I spoke to them, is that they are not scared of Jammeh, and Jammeh cannot intimidate people. I mean, because these are just the last cries of a dying regime. He has no way out.
I like that confidence you have, but look, it does appear that Yahya Jammeh has the security forces right behind him. They're firmly in support of Yahya Jammeh, and if he decides not to step down, do you think the ECOWAS threats will mellow him or anything, seeing that he has all this security support?
Well, obviously, the security itself is not wholly behind him. Just yesterday, I saw a top army official who actually went to endorse the opposition leader, that is Barrow. So, I mean, the information coming from Banjul is very clear that even the army is very divided on those who support him and those who don't support him. I know he's trying to send out the message to the international community and to Gambians that he has the total support of the security forces, but even that is not true. And for me, it's not about, I mean, whether the security forces are in support of him or not. It's about whether the Gambian people are ready to stand up for the decision that they have taken. And as we speak, they are willing to stand up. My point is, will the international community live up to their promise of helping the Gambian people come out of this situation? Because Jammeh himself is not just a threat to the Gambia; he's a threat to the whole West African region. I am sure a lot of countries in the region have already felt one or two bad things from him, have had one or two bad experiences from Jammeh. So it's about whether they are really willing to side with the Gambian people in this case to help them to uphold the democratic transition. But even when you speak to the opposition leaders, as I said, they are not even intimidated by him.
So, Mr. Kwa, quick one before we go. Are you hopeful that come January 19, Adama Barrow will be sworn in as president of the Gambia?
I don't see any way out for Jammeh in this case. I am very confident that Adama Barrow will be the president, whether it is through ECOWAS intervention or whether it is through an uprising by the Gambian people. But ultimately, Jammeh will have to go because right now he is out of touch with reality. He doesn't know what he's doing. His tactics are stale. I mean, he has been, for 22 years, he has been trying to scare the Gambian people, trying to threaten them, and people are not actually giving into these threats. I mean, it's something that they are obviously used to. So Adama Barrow will be president, and there is no way Jammeh is going to escape this. The signs are not good for him. I mean, I think he's lost all he could have gotten. Initially when he accepted the results. So things are not going to go well for him.
Mr. Carr, we're grateful. Thank you very much for your time. Mr. Mustafa Carr is a Gambian journalist who is in exile, actually lives in Azerbaijan. And this is News at 10, live from the News Hub here at Desawe in Kanda, Accra. My name is Stephen Enti.